How's it going? I'm going to share communication between me and an artist, a friend of mine, who asked me what mic they should purchase for their vocals. So you guys can hopefully get something from this conversation. And if you like this video and any others, please like, subscribe, follow, and you'll be able to see more and turn notifications on so you don't miss anything. Here it goes. I get the question all the time, what microphone should I buy to improve my vocal sound? There's a lot of stuff out there, and if you have any sort of reasonable budget, there's a lot of different options, and the salesmen are going to be coming at you left, right, and center, and they all have an axe to grind because they probably make a little more or a little less depending on what they sell. So even if it's the most honest salesman in the whole world, Mother Teresa, selling mics, she's probably going to, push one more than the other just because she's friendly with the manager and whatever the hell, right? So let's not do that. I got no affiliation. I don't, all I know is I've bought stuff from Guitar Center, and it's a very good place to buy shit from because you could go do it online, buy used, buy new, and you could source from any of their stores, and people trade in their gear to Guitar Center a lot, and it just sits in these stores in like Dubuque, and then you might want the mic sitting in Dubuque. It could be a good mic somebody brought in there. You never know. So the bottom line is all the stuff used and new is all in one place. You get to search it out. I think it's awesome. So when somebody says they got a credit, it's worth talking about. It's just like buying from eBay at this point or Reverb. Like, it's really not much difference. The only difference is they stand behind the warranty and shit. Again, I'm not affiliated. I'm just for it. So I'm not making any money from anybody on nothing over here. So here we go. I'm saying I'm nice. I'll put together a list of mics for you to try, and then I ask, would you buy a used one? Because I already know things he doesn't know. He's going, maybe if it was a really dope mic, and he's also saying not like since his budget's $1,800, he's telling me if it's like $1K used mic, he doesn't want to, he's not interested. But what he basically means is if it was like a very expensive Neumann used for less money, he would do it. That makes sense, and that's exactly what I was thinking was you can offer, I wrote, you can often get a $2,500 mic that will be in your $1,400 budget. In other words, a $3,000 mic used will be $1,500. And that's a huge discount on an expensive mic. And that's not always the case, but depending on the mic, could be the case. So best quality mic means expensive mic is what I wrote. So I would prefer to spend less money on a used mic that would cost much more new. So I wrote, the only thing you don't get with that is the manufacturer's warranty, which is definitely helpful because it usually gives you a few years. So if anything happens, like I bought a Blue mic years back, and they're notorious for having that like really thin part that connects the body to the head, and guess what? The mic fell over, the top broke off, but it was within the warranty period, and they replaced it. It was also when Blue was a company and they were around. They're not around anymore, so you wouldn't be able to buy to make that happen. But also, it's just a huge benefit when it's within the period. In that case, I got lucky because the reason the mic fell was because the clip that held the mic was faulty and they knew about it. So because they knew about it, they replaced it for me. And that's awesome. So anyway, what do we got? So I wrote, the only thing you don't get is the manufacturer's warranty, which is a couple of years, so anything happens, right? Guitar Center, unless they change their policy, is typically like 30 to 45 days on new or used gear. It was my memory, and I said, just check it. And he says, yeah, he's open to it. And then he's talking about a girl twerking on this. Forget that. And then we got, the sales rep doesn't get the same commission, though. This is something else I wanted to just mention, the commission thing, It's just important to note that sometimes sales reps don't always just objectively look at the situation. It's important to note that. And then I've always been iffy on mics, this is another thing. Obviously you guys are thinking this, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. He's like, oh, I've always been iffy when the mic is, I got to touch my mouth to somebody else's mic. And I'm saying you use a pop filter in front of it. Nobody's going to put their lips, no studio is letting somebody, they might let them, but if it's Dave Grohl, but like who's going to let them put their lips on a $10,000 microphone? Nobody. So any kind of really good mic, you got a pop filter in front of it for your plosives anyway, if it's a condenser tube, like we're talking about, these type of mics, so you don't have to worry about it. And you're putting it, you know, where your mouth's on the pop filter, if anything. It's not on the mic grill. So you never worry about it because they're two separate things. So that's not really a thing. I also wrote, I feel you on not buying a used Shure SM58, like the bar mic, the karaoke mic, because if you buy one of those, you guaranteed that somebody's had that thing down their throat practically. So I wouldn't, you know, do that because people are just lipping those things. The karaoke band mic, okay, so I wrote, but you're never going to touch the grill. Now he goes, okay, I said that made me think of something actually, because this is something I thought of later. I asked if he had a mic for when he performs live, because this is a theory I have. When you get anything audio related, it helps to be able to A and B it. The reason I say this is because any one mic is a good mic. If you don't have anything to compare it to, and you don't have any like really way to gauge if it's good or bad against anything, then it's a good mic. So that's the problem, is that you need, like, this is the same, I've heard, I don't remember where I heard this. I read this a long time ago on some, like, you know, Gearspace platform kind of thing, before it was called Gearspace. It was something to the effect of any one mic can do the job of, you know, as long as it's a mic that's working properly, literally anything will do. But when you get to really hear what one mic sounds like compared to another one, and have the ear to be able to make the decision at what's better for a certain use or purpose, that's when having more tools makes sense. That's when having the ability to change colors and everything makes sense. Until then, literally, anything will do. So don't stress about stuff so much. But when it comes to vocals specifically, if you don't have a vocal that captures the high-end quality and characteristics of your voice, and or the low-end, like, there's things you get from better mics you just don't get from crappy mics. It's just a fact. So when you're talking about getting a mic that's good, anything I'm about to suggest is going to sound good on 98% of people's voices. Anything. What's going to sound better on your voice specifically is something you would only know through comparison. So what I told him is, you got to get more than one. You got to, and it's, if you don't have the budget to get more than one, this is where this thought came up. I asked if he's, like, what he uses for live and stuff like that, and we decided to move away from live at the moment. But what I was going to suggest is something I bring up at the end of this, which is a cheap mic, and I'm going to talk about it now just to throw it in there as a cheap option. Around $300 to $350, the Telefunken M80 is an extremely good dynamic mic with a lot of high-end, beautiful characteristics, so it sort of sounds like a condenser mic, like a large diaphragm condenser, but it doesn't. It sounds, it's between that and a dynamic mic. It won't capture as much of the room around you as a condenser will. So if you're in a room that sucks, like a general bedroom or like a dining room type thing, if you're hearing reverb in your room at all, a garage, a kitchen, anything with like a basement, you don't want a condenser mic. You're going to hear the freaking walls in the mic, no matter how, even if you're close to it, you're generally going to hear some kind of room happening if it's not dead. So, in my opinion, I would prefer a dynamic unless I'm in a vocal booth or a room that sounds treated, right? Dead dry. If it doesn't sound dead and dry, I'm not going to use a mic that would pick up the room. It's just, I'll use something else. So, in this case, with this guy, I'm telling him as a comparison, you should maybe get the Telefunken M80 just to be able to compare for like something, because you'll have something bright that sounds condenser-ish, but also dynamic, like, to compare to one of these. And it's not expensive. It's like $300, $350, relatively not expensive compared to these, compared to his $1,800 budget, right? So this is what we're talking about. My first suggestion was this used Neumann, I call it a Neumann, I don't know, just because I watched a lot of Seinfeld. So this Neumann 87, right? Condenser microphone. This thing is used at $1,800. It's an 87, so it's not a 47. The thing that the most common mic probably, historically, when you're thinking round warmth, is 47. So the first thing I did was I went to the Guitar Center website and I just searched for different 47s because I'm familiar with the brands. And obviously, Neumann's been around forever. And this, a used Neumann 87, you're probably not going to go wrong because he's a pop type singer, this guy. That fast kind of working mic is good. And what I mean by fast is a saturated mic, like a 47. Like right here, these that I suggest, this is actually a solid state 47, but this is my top choice on here. This Telefunken TF47 or this Golden Age 47. Either one of these, because I've used this Golden Age, which is a replica of a 47, you know, but or what, we don't call it replicas now. I forget what we call it. Whatever we call it. That 47 is awesome. Sounds great. I've actually used it. So this Golden Age 47 is beautiful, and this Telefunken 47 is also beautiful. The tube characteristic is adding a warmth and a saturation, which also has a tendency to feel slower. And what I mean by slower is it's sort of like, envision natural compression happening. Because anybody who's ever played a tube amp or played guitar or anything like this, as you drive into tubes, it kind of compresses naturally on itself in a cool way. It just kind of, you can't describe it other than to go like this and say it molds and moves, and that's what it does. It just sort of smushes. It has a nice gluey, smushed flavor. It doesn't poke out and hurt you. That's the difference. Like, it's rounder, it's slower, it's more saturated. That's what a tube will give you. This guy is fresh off of returning a tube mic, so I think he's just scared of tubes. But I told him that my two favorites on most voices, it's usually my starting point before I'm going to mess around. If I hear a male's voice that's like in my register, right? So Telefunken, this 47 or this Golden Age 47, which I've used, are both great. Now, over here, we got a solid state 47. Now, what I told him was this. I said, if you like that 87 Neumann, you should think about this one as being similar to it because it's a solid state 47. It's like a FET 47. There's going to be other people out there that are going to be like, nah, 47 is different than 87. Yeah, I know it's different, but what I'm saying is it's faster. Because it's solid state, it's going to sound not as round, saturated, and gluey as these two that are tube and not solid state. Because these are tube, these will be warmer, rounder, and have that weird glue. It's a mojo, a glue feeling. It's also a sheen and shine at the top and all sorts of stuff, but it's this gluey tube factor that factors in to all the rest of the presence and the top end. Whereas on this, it's solid state, which is going to be way closer, it's a faster moving mic. This is the kind of mic you'd use on a kick drum or a bass amp. You want a faster mic than a tube 47, okay, in my opinion, on certain things. So this would be great. Also, this actually has, this Paluzzo is another one of these companies that does the emulation, replica, whatever you want to call that. I forget the real word for it. There's a word. Somebody will drop it in the comments. But anyway, so you got that. Then, all right, it's Paluzzo. I threw this on the list, but I realized later that this thing's actually back ordered. But this P12 caught my interest because the guy's talking about beautiful, bright top end or like nice, clean, sheening top end. I think C12. And that's kind of what this is. They're emulating the C12. That's another historic, amazing mic. So when you just get familiar with the common, letter number combinations that are the most popular mics in the world for a reason, and then you'll be right there with the rest of us. So that's why this was on the list, but again, it's back ordered. And then this one. I think this one is his top choice because when I asked him, I was like, and that may be because he's swayed by the name or he's just looking for the fact that this is, the 87 is historically like the go-to hip-hop mic of choice for fast-moving vocals because the 47 was a little slow for that. So people would prefer a faster mic. They'd use this. And this was prior to when the Sony C800 became the mic. Which of later years, like that's what everyone's using now on hip hop, pop, and a lot of stuff. But again, like I'm saying, the 47, in my opinion, is classic, awesome. And that's why when I look through the list of stuff, that's That's the stuff that, this stuff from Guitar Center at this moment in time, like I did this yesterday, last night. This is all the most current stuff. This is the stuff that you would do. All right? More videos to come. Take it easy. Custom Cut Studios, Evan Jaffe. Please hit that subscribe button and you will see tons more videos. Take it easy.